This is one of the weirdest stories you're ever going to hear. The Las Vegas Raiders literally almost killed this player back in 2020, and his life flashed before his eyes. Apparently, the medical experts on the team made a mistake, and at the end of the day, he almost lost his life. In today's video, I want to talk about the weird events that went on with this certain player, his crazy story to get to this point, and overall bring you up to speed on the entire situation. But right before we get into it, nearly 80% of you guys aren't subscribed, so quickly be sure to do that, smash that like button for the algorithm, and turn on post notifications. Now, let's get started. The player we're going to talk about in today's video is an offensive lineman by the name of Trent Brown. Going back in time though, Brown was never supposed to be in the NFL or anywhere close to this point. He was born in Texas, but the family eventually moved to Georgia, where he did develop into a star football and basketball player. He didn't exactly have a huge recruitment though, and he had to settle for the JUCO level. He ended up going to the Georgia Military College, which is located in Milledgeville, Georgia, and he went there in 2011 and developed into a star while he was there. He started for 2 years for the program, and after having a spectacular career, he was named a second-team All-American in 2012. Because of that, he was a huge name on the recruiting trail, and he had offers from schools such as Florida State, Georgia, LSU, Oklahoma, Ole Miss, Florida, and Texas A&M. He originally decided to sign with Georgia, but then would back off as he learned the Bulldogs wanted to play him at offensive guard, and he wanted to play at the tackle spot. He ended up committing to Florida instead, and he was the #1 junior college offensive tackle in the country, and he had this to say about it. Quote, "I think I can do a lot of things at the tackle position with my length, my ability to move, and my size. A lot of people look at me and say I can't move. As a youngster, I was always a skill player, and that should help me out a lot at the offensive tackle position." He arrived as one of the biggest players in Florida history, but after a slow start, he eventually became a starter for the Gators. He was dominant for 2 years, but he was not considered a high-end draft pick. He ended up getting selected in the 7th round, and despite being taken so late, he actually began to start for the Niners by the end of the year. In 2018, he ended up getting traded to the Patriots on draft night as Bill Belichick was trying to build one of the most dominant offensive lines in the league. He ended up starting every single game at left tackle for the Patriots and actually helped them win a Super Bowl. He became a big deal and was wanted by a ton of different franchises. He signed a massive contract with the Las Vegas Raiders and became a part of their team last year. Then the trouble began. He tested positive for a certain illness that was going around last year, so that sidelined him a bit, but going into their game against the Browns, his life was almost taken away from him. According to Brown, he went into cardiac arrest before the game. He got an IV put into his arm before the game, and air was accidentally put into his bloodstream instead of what they usually put, and he was hospitalized for 3 days starting on November 1st of last year. He said, quote, "I almost died before we played the Browns last year. When I laid out on the floor, I definitely thought about my kids, and I even thought about retiring, honestly. It was that scary. I was about to be done with all of it. Then, after it kind of settled down a bit, and I was fine." He said he battled that certain illness from last year, and it was a miracle he made it to Cleveland and to that game and to that locker room that day, and all of a sudden he went through his normal routine, got an IV, passed out, and almost died. A month after the incident, he returned to make 3 starts for the Raiders, but he still wasn't right physically. He said he didn't feel completely well for 8 months, which put his recovery around July. At that point, he had moved on from the Raiders and had signed with the Patriots and was going to battle it out for a starting spot there. He had this to say, quote, "To actually fully recover, it probably took about 8 months to feel normal again. And to actually start making steps as far as improvement to feel like myself again, it took 8 months. Thankfully, Brown is okay though, and I assume this drastically affected his life. He probably lives in the moment, appreciates every day he has, and maybe it was honestly a good thing for him. A lot of the times when people have traumatic life experiences or near-death experiences, it honestly changes them for the better, and Brown is still in the NFL after a very unlikely journey. He's now in his 7th year in the league, and he's made 62 career starts and was even a Pro Bowler in 2019. For a guy who ended up at the junior college level in a 7th round pick, that's pretty remarkable, and the fact he came back from almost dying is also incredible too. If I were him, I would have thought about retiring too, but he's got to do what's best for him, his family, and his career, and I wish him nothing but the best moving forwards. It was honestly a crazy story when I stumbled upon this morning, and be sure to let me know what you think of this whole situation. Also, give me another crazy story that's happened in football I could take a look at in my next video, a topic I could do next, and don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe if you are new to the channel, and check out all my other videos on the end screen. I hope to see you guys again soon, but until next time, peace.